Oh, glasses high, this
This one's
one's
for
for
you
you
tonight. These are the
tonight
worst days of
of
our
our
life.
lives. What a depressing ending.
Bro, this shit was sad for real, for real.
It was so sad. Literally, I texted you yesterday because I watched it live last night,
And
and
I
I was
couldn't. And I
like,
was like,
"It's
Brandon, how's it
sad,"
going?
and I'm like, "It's sad. Like it's
It's
just
sad as
sad.
hell.
It's the most sad."
Part two wasn't. I didn't love part two, but part three, mm,
Part three. The extended version on
depression.
Peacock didn't show too much more, though.
No, okay, okay,
There was the Tom and Katie stuff that we can talk about that I did like. But
yeah.
before all that, excuse us for skipping the intro. Hello everyone. Welcome back
Hi
to the
everyone,
Shade of It All. I'm
welcome
Brandon.
back. I'm Magdala.
And we are going to be being shady and discussing the final part of the Vanderpump Rules reunion, part three.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording a little earlier than expected because Maggie
Yeah.
is about to go on another vacay.
I'm just constantly traveling. No, I'll be
A woman of the
I'm
world.
me and my family are going on a trip, so I have to like pick people up and we're going to the airport. My cousin's getting married in Jamaica
Ooh, that
next
should be
week.
fun.
Yes, she's getting married Saturday and we leave tomorrow.
Okay.
She's getting married at a resort, so we're staying at the resort. I'm actually kind of excited now. But I haven't packed yet and I need to go pick up my family this evening so we can start heading to Miami. So it's a bit of a day, but
It's a
we're here. We
day.
made it. We made
We're
it. The
doing
one
it.
thing is that I told Brandon that we could record at 3 and it's 3:20. So look at that.
Look
We're
at that. We did it.
I didn't flake. It was Saturday, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, we can do 3." And he's like, "But will we do 3?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, we will."
I had
Ignore
to
the
be
halo,
sure.
right? Ignore the halo over my head because we're recording during the day, and I sit in front of a
Oh, yes,
window.
her window
Sorry,
is giving her a
sorry,
halo. But
not
you know
sorry.
what? You're an angelic. You're an angel.
I'm an angel.
Angel.
You're an angel.
Where's
Angel.
your halo? They know
They know you're an
you're an angel.
angel. Obviously,
Uh,
we are friends of Halle Bailey.
we are. We love her.
Yes,
Fans.
we do.
Y-
Brandon,
Yeah.
how are you? For the folks on YouTube, you can see Brandon looks different. He's got his Clark Kent going on.
Oh, I did get a haircut. I'm freshly shaven. I got on my nice stripes for the reunion finale.
Yes,
You know, we're out in these podcast streets
we
just trying to
are.
like look cute and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
thanks,
But
Maggie.
Brandon, we have so much to talk about.
We do. We're gonna jump right in because we got to get it done. We're booked and busy, and
Mm-hmm.
we got to get into it. But we're professionals. We're making this work.
We're making it work.
Yes. So part three
Part
of the
3.
reunion aired last night,
Mm-hmm.
and it was depressing, sad,
Sad,
eye-opening,
eye-opening
cringe at moments.
at moments. A little like, it kind of gave a little bit of like schoolgirl bully a little bit, like
A
kind of
little
like
bit.
petty underhandedness.
Yes, but
Lots of adjectives
ultimately
here.
validating for I think Katie and Ariana
I agree.
and us who have remained Team Katie and Ariana throughout.
We have. Yeah, I think people showed their true colors and
hmm
I'm understanding a little bit more. Like I feel like I understand Lala a little bit more, but there's a lot to go into. So,
Yeah, I
do we want to go?
understand Lala. I just don't agree.
I don't
Um,
agree. We don't agree. We're not
yeah,
Sheena or Lala apologists. I think this
no.
goes without saying. We're not Tom and Tom apologists.
Sheena, I can't with her. We'll get into Sheena.
Right. The purpose of this podcast is to only defend Katie Maloney and Ariana Madix.
This
We
is
are on
true.
their side. We will support their businesses. Brandon already has. We're buying their merch. Whatever they do, we love. We listened to their podcast today, so we'll talk about that at the end.
Yes. And when we go to California, we will be getting a sandwich
We
because they
will be
look
getting a
good.
sandwich or two. I mean, there's
Or
no sides. Might as well get two. Well, I think it's served with a pickle and
a
something.
pickle. I think we can get a bag of chips.
Yes, we
So there is
will.
that. And there seems to be some cookies. We could try a cookie.
Oh, look at that. We got pastries, all of it.
We got
All
it
of it.
all. All right, so
Uh,
let's dive into this reunion, which I think it started resuming the fight with James and Tom, which was
yeah,
funny.
it was. It was. And I mean there wasn't a whole lot left, but they kept the juicy bits of
Yeah.
James saying, "You try to be my you try to be my dog's dad."
Daddy boy, daddy boy. Yeah, they kind of
And
just replayed it and then
they were
ended it.
yeah, they replayed it, they ended it. And then Andy kind of starts by asking Tom Sandoval a question where he basically is like, the perception is that you can't apologize without bringing up someone else's shit, right? Like, if I tell Tom that he is late, Tom will tell me I was late, right? Like, Tom
Yeah.
does not accept anything. I don't really care what Tom said, I don't remember, but I just agreed with Andy's point that this is true.
Yes, he essentially Tom was like, but I did apologize. But when he said ultimate betrayal, that's what got me. And it was just like, okay. It was kind of a non-event. It was like he was trying to deny it, but we all know that Tom does like often he'll just like deflect and then be like,
He
but you
will.
did this.
He will.
So
He's not, he doesn't take responsibility for anything.
no,
And he just likes to throw things in people's face instead of actually addressing what they say to him.
this is true.
Um, and then after this, Tom kind of talks to Ariana, or not Tom, Andy asks Ariana, like, okay, well, what are your, the group has said different things about how you're coping. Brock
Hmm.
wants you to forgive. Somebody said something about poison. I think that was James's comment that,
Lala's comment. He
uh,
holding resentment for your ex is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
I mean, it is true what she said. I
What
don't like Lala,
Pinterest
but it is
board
true.
did she find that quote on?
It is true. Like, okay, if you're gonna just continue to hold on to something, yes, but like, wrong messenger, wrong messenger.
Wrong messenger, considering all Lala does is hold on to resentment about everything.
And this episode is a great example of that.
It
Um,
is.
and then Ariana kind of responds and she's like, "Look, the only way that I can heal is to feel it, to go through it."
Yeah.
And we kind of leave it at that. And I also agree with her because, again, guys, it hasn't been very long. I think they point out the timeline. I can't remember if it's here or somewhere else.
It was just
Like,
them filming was just a few months after everything. So she
right.
was like, yeah, if I'm like that a year from now, sure, but
Mm-hmm.
it had just happened, which is
Mm-hmm.
true.
It is very true. So I think that she is valid in feeling all of the feelings. They were together for 9 years. So
Hmm.
people say it takes half the amount of time to get over it. So she's got time.
She's
She's
got
ahead of schedule.
she's got 3.5 years left. So you know what?
Hmm.
Buckle up. No, but yeah. And she started to cry, I think, at some point. It was just like, this was really tough. And I felt like I was kind of being pushed to be further along than I
Yeah,
was, which I think that was a message to not only the cast members, but maybe the producers.
that is true.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that she kind of mentions it in the podcast. So we could talk about it now, right?
Yeah, because they talked
They
about
didn't
the
really talk
reunion on
much.
Katie's podcast, but it wasn't too much. But
Yeah. But Ariana basically said, or no, Katie basically said that she felt like them bringing this receipt back was kind of just like mean-spirited, right? Like
yeah,
the
watching the
only
end of the finale together.
yeah, like the only goal was to like hurt Ariana. Like
Hmm.
it wasn't something that was like it really only affected Ariana negatively. And so, yeah, it does really seem like production has edited things in a way this season where they're trying to kind of like put the frustrations towards Ariana on a forefront on display and not like anything else because we don't know if they've recorded her crying or upset about something, right? If they didn't show, we don't know. But the
That's true.
majority of it has been like even how it ended with Lala's drawn out soliloquy, which we will dive into, and then like 2 seconds of what Ariana had to say is telling.
Yeah. But yeah, and then what they bring up Jackson Brittany randomly.
Yeah, I
We
thought
don't
that
need
was
to dive into
stupid. I was
that
like,
too
this is
much.
dumb. They didn't even really, we only saw Jax for a couple seconds. The
Yeah.
only thing I liked about this is that Tom is like annoyed with Jax because of like his comments and stuff, and he's like he's always saying this about me and blah blah blah, and he just comes to like hate, and I'm like that's literally how. And then Ariana kind of whispered like that's how Schwartz is towards me, and I was like
Yeah.
that, and in my head I'm like that's how Schwartz and Sandoval are towards you.
I know, right?
Like always like kind of like just being annoying and like bringing up shit when they're not even really around that much, but they claim to know so much. Because
Mm-hmm.
Jax came out and he was like, your life sucks, my life's better than yours, all this stuff pretty much. And like he hasn't really been around, so like you're saying all this stuff you haven't been around, and that's basically what Ariana's saying, like you guys like to make these assumptions about me but you really haven't been around me.
Exactly. And then Lala randomly bringing up some nanny babysitter beef with Brittany that didn't fit into the story at all, but she wanted to because I think she was setting the groundwork for potentially joining the Valley because they're on it. And it's just like, see, there's issues. I could be drama. And it's like, this is stupid.
That is stupid. And I remember like I was really tuning out. So I just remember that Lisa was or Andy was like that's normal though. Like I have like I share nannies with people like
Yeah.
I don't know. It
It
was
was just
stupid.
a non-event and unnecessary, especially given this is the final reunion episode. I
Right.
needed
Like why are we
15
wasting
more
time?
episodes of them talking about the finale.
Exactly, because I feel like the first 15-ish minutes it was just a waste of time. Like we're
It was.
what are we talking about?
Yeah, what are we
Jackson and
doing?
Brittany aren't here. Why
Yeah,
are you giving them airtime?
they're not here. They're currently separated. Who cares?
Who cares? Move on.
Yeah,
They can get their own show and talk about it. Um,
which they have. So
but after this, um, it was brought up how Sheena was basic, or I think Ariana brought up how she thought it was odd that Sheena essentially said that she asked like, or she stated that she feels like Tom was more upset about the breakup because he was upset about losing Sheena than losing Ariana. And I was like,
yes,
but they didn't. But then like she kind of excused it because she was like, "Oh, but Ariana didn't watch," and then they kind of just moved on. And I was like, yeah.
yeah.
Can
It
we
was
unpack that, please?
yeah, because they were like, Ariana, you said on Watch What Happens Live, like, oh, some stuff Sheena said hurt your feelings, and then she brought up that comment where Sheena was like, yeah, he cared more about losing me than her. Like, yeah, totally.
Like,
And
what the
then
fuck? First
Sheena
off,
was
he doesn't care about anything. Let's get that established.
let's exactly let's point that out.
He doesn't
And
care.
Sheena was like, but I was asked that question. And it's like, well, that doesn't make a difference. You still said it. It doesn't matter if someone asked you or not. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Sheena is very much trying to plead the fifth. Like people, everybody here has heard things that she said, and they kind of want her to own up to it a little bit. Lala especially,
Oh, yeah.
and Sheena is very much pleading the fifth because I think that she it's coming out now that Sheena has been like playing all sides. It's like in Big Brother, like Sheena has an alliance with everyone actually. She tells
No,
everybody
yeah.
exactly what they want to hear, in private. And now it's a public forum and she's trying to like save face and keep like these relationships going. And it's like obviously you talk shit about Lala. Obviously
Ariana.
you talk shit about Ariana to Lala, and
Hmm.
then to Ariana you act like everything's cool, and now you're kind of like coming to the head, and you're not your back is against the wall. You don't know what to say.
Yeah, and that's always been Sheena. And funny enough, it was like season 5. She like hated Lala because she was close with Katie and like the other witches of WeHo, Stassi and Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the cameras picked up, she started to like be friendly with Lala and like try to like be more on her side. And they were like, what the fuck? You were literally saying something else like when the cameras were off. And now all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're trying to be her friend. And then so it's interesting how the tables turn.
It is. It's also interesting. I was realizing this later because on the podcast, Ariana said something to the effect of, I don't have to answer to people who aren't in my circle. And she was kind of talking about the cast. And then it made me wonder, like, how close are these people really? Like, you could tell that Ariana and Katie are close. Even as she was leaving, she was like, "Hey, I'll text you, or I'll talk to you Monday. I'll see you Monday." Like they're like see
Yeah.
each other, talk to each other frequently.
Hmm.
But I feel like Lala and Sheena, I wonder how close. I mean, I think she's closer to Sheena. I think Ariana's probably least close to Lala.
Well, now they're not
Not at all.
friends.
Right.
I think they were all close at one point, and then things just changed with Scandal. And now with this season, I think Katie and Ariana are close friends, and especially with the sandwich shop, I think she's cool with Sheena, but they don't really talk because Sheena said on her podcast that she hasn't talked or spoken a lot with Tom and Ariana. And I'm like, so all
Mm.
this was for nothing.
Literally.
Um, and then Lala doesn't talk to Katie or Ariana. She was it's crazy to think that after this reunion is when Lala was like, I'm gonna go on a press tour bashing Ariana and saying she has a huge ego and all these things. And I'm like, that's the conclusion. Like that's what you thought should be. That was your damage control.
It's like I'm still like racking my brain as to how she came to these conclusions. I want for like a couple of seconds to put myself in Lala's shoes. Not loud, not now, but when we get to it. Because I am curious, like how does she have how could Lala interpret Ariana's behavior as having a big ego? Like, please. But we'll get there. I
Hmm.
just like I
Let's
want
pose
to
this question.
right. I want to like unpack the things that she said and figure out maybe if we could find a way how she got there. Because
Yeah,
right now it's like it says I don't know where you went. You went very far left. But I'm
she did.
curious.
But Lala tends to go to like these odd conclusions that don't make sense.
7 years ago, you didn't defend me.
2 years
So
ago, Katie, you talked about their relationship. And it's like, okay, bitch, 2 years ago. Exactly, 2 years ago.
that's so funny. I bet the conversation that she keeps referring to about Katie was like maybe 3 minutes long.
It
and,
probably
she's,
was.
and she's just holding on to it. And
Like,
Katie
I
is
know
like,
you said this
Lala, for real?
once.
Yeah. But
uh,
after this, Andy asked Brock probably the only question I think he's been asked the whole time.
I know, right?
Um, which was like, I guess his stance towards Tom's behavior. And Brock was basically like, I wanted to help Tom, but Tom keeps putting his foot in his mouth. And
Basically.
so I was like, this is great. Thank you, Brock. Thank you for your
Right.
input.
Well, then also, maybe this was a little after, or I don't know. I know it was around this time. Didn't Andy ask him, like, oh, you said Tom was a better friend to
Oh, that's
Sheena than
later. Yeah.
Ariana. And then he
Yeah.
gave reasons that didn't make sense.
I
He
was
didn't talk
like,
about Tom.
I was like, why are we even talking about this? Can we just ask Sheena if it's true or not and move on? Like,
Right?
why is Brock answering right next to her for her?
I know.
Whatever.
Uh,
Um, but then they get to Sheena. Um, or is this Lala? Because Lala was basically saying that her whole point is that they haven't been honest this season. Or that Ariana has never been honest. Ariana has never been
yeah, but that was
transparent.
after they watched the finale.
Oh, okay. So then that's where we're at now.
Oh, are we out there now? Okay.
Sorry.
Maggie's notes. She
They're
was
all over.
going through them before, and she was like, "They're a little disorganized."
They're a little disorganized. Like I kind of need to like because I don't want to miss anything because this was good. But it's also like I feel like I was trying to watch but not stop every 10 seconds. It definitely took me like 2 hours to watch this.
You know, it's appointment television and it's layered. But
It is.
I will say, because I think this was before they watched the finale. Was it the Katie and Tom thing where they kind of talk about the relationship? I think this was just in the extended one.
Oh yeah.
It was
Oh,
kind
okay. You
of,
didn't see it?
I did see it in the
Oh, okay.
extended. Oh, in the
In the extent,
extended, but not in the, yeah, yeah, not in
not
the
last
live
night.
one, which I don't
Okay.
know why they keep cutting Katie scenes from the live. Because I'm like, these are actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it was like they were just talking about the relationship because I guess Lala had said at one point that Katie was gonna be like the one that got away from Tom. And then Tom was like, I've come to peace with our relationship ending. Like I know it was the
Yes.
right choice. And
Mm-hmm.
like, but and he started to get emotional, and I was like, this is shocking. This is the most I've ever
I
seen you
thought that was
seem like
crazy
you
too.
liked her or had any emotions towards her.
Yeah. I was like, Schwartz
I was like,
is
huh?
showing emotion?
I know. And then he was like, I look at our relationship as a success. And Katie was like, me too. Like, it was something, it was a great time. And then
I
Andy
don't
was
believe
like,
her when she says that though.
I hope they don't mean it.
I think she was just saying me too because he got emotional for a
Right. So she was
change.
like, yeah, of course.
Of
And
course,
then
yeah.
Andy was like,
Absolutely.
I heard you had the Bubba tattoo removed. And he was like, no, never. And it was so quick and genuine. And even Katie was like, oh, it was like such a sweet moment. I was like, this is the
Yeah.
first time in all the seasons throughout any interaction where I've seen a genuine care
From
from
Schwartz.
Schwartz between the two of them, where I was like, okay, maybe their relationship did have something.
Right.
Like,
I wish they spent more time on that. Like I wondered I mean, I guess there's not a whole lot else to say, but I wonder if Katie could have like asked him something or like I don't know, them just talk about it I've more and then spending all of that time on Jax and them. Like I feel like this is something we should talk about because
I
the
think so
whole
too.
time he's like oh my Katie was this and Katie was that, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you're like having sentimental feelings about Katie. Like
I
that's weird.
know. It was kind of random because he's
Yeah,
never been like that before, really.
no.
But maybe season 12, if they ever dive back into it after the hiatus, if it comes back,
Yeah.
maybe they'll have a scene where they actually talk about it. But with all that being said, then it comes to the point where this is the first time we're ever doing this, where we did not show you guys the last few minutes of the finale. And so we're all going to watch it together. This has been a pivotal season. And we're gonna watch it now. And then they play it.
They set all of them up, but namely Ariana.
Right. And Ariana, I think even before they played it, and she
She
kind of
said
talked about
something,
that in the
yeah.
reunion or at the podcast. She looked at Sheena and she was like, what the fuck? Because I think she
Yeah.
knew. She was like, oh fuck, something's gonna
Yeah.
happen. And then
Uh
they
so
show
they
everything. They show Lala's rant. They show all the stuff Tom said. They
mhm.
show Ariana leaving. They
They show the
show
little montage and you could kind of see everybody's
Taj.
reaction to the montage.
They were all crying. I was like, this is emotional.
Yeah, everybody got emotional actually.
I think
Yeah,
maybe
because
they also
James
felt
did.
James did, which that doesn't take much, but James did. And it was like, I think it was because they were seeing them all because they've been on the show for so long. But also, I
Hmm.
think they're worried. Does this mean the show's ending? Like, why are we showing this montage?
Ah,
Like,
that
it
makes
seems
sense
random for like
too.
a normal finale.
Yeah, I mean, a few points in the finale allude to like this is ending, and that was one of them. And I was
Yes.
just like, yeah, yeah. They're like, are you guys trying to say this is the end, but you didn't
Is
tell
this
us
your way of
yet?
telling us that it's over?
I
Which
would be
I think
upset.
it's the end of an era.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They got to do whether it's like not a different cast, add people to the cast, or more crossovers with the Valley, or just a restructuring of the format.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. They need to do something because currently, whatever this season was, I get why it was how it was, but it's not like it doesn't have longevity.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
There's only so much that you can do, and they spent way too much time on the Toms. Like, and maybe that's partly why Lala's so annoyed. I don't know, but yeah, like I feel like this season I didn't really every season of a housewife related Bravo show I've seen, they kind of spend an equal amount of time on everybody. And then if there's some kind of central drama, they'll focus on that too.
Hmm.
But I feel like I didn't really get to, I mean, like there was a little bit of like getting to everybody, but I feel like the majority of it was the central drama. Every episode they're talking about the central drama. And then
Yeah.
like occasionally you would see like sprinkles of like this is my life and this is what I do and whatever.
Hmm.
You know? So,
Yeah, this one they were focusing too much on like the scandal of it all.
yeah,
And like, but they watch the finale, there's tears.
there's
They go,
tears.
Ariana, what's your reaction to your whole cast saying they hate you? And then a shady
Mm.
montage that was aimed to be a dig at you for leaving the finale party.
Well, did they address Sheena first or no?
No, I think they asked Ariana first.
Okay.
And then like it was and then it was oh, because also I was glad they kept this part in. They kept the last part in where Tom was like, I love it. This is great for me.
Yeah,
And that's when Ariana goes, exactly.
yeah,
And it was just like,
I was watching Tom's face because obviously they zoom up to him in that moment. And the whole he's like smirking. And
mm-hmm.
then he says the last word and he shakes his head, but he's still smiling. And I'm like, yeah, you know you fucked up, dude.
You
Or
did.
you
You
probably
talk
don't
too
think you
damn
did.
much.
Always yapping. But yeah, they asked Ariana for her reaction and she was basically like this was hurtful. Like I've
Hmm.
been my honest self. I don't think that she was basically saying that she doesn't think that Tom's apology was going to be genuine. She knew he wanted to have some kind of moment with her. She didn't want to have that moment with him because she knew it wasn't going to be genuine.
You know
Um,
me well enough to know
yeah.
that that's not true. You know, you know.
I was like, he's real. Not your hands over your face. He
I'm
was really
like,
milking it.
why are you proving her right yet again? I don't act. I'm like,
He's
first of
like,
all, what?
he's like, it's not an act, it's real. And she's like, no, it's not. Because you, like, not 10 seconds later, when I did walk away, when you didn't get your way, you start talking bad about me. And he's like, because you did it to me. And she's like, what have I done to you?
She's like,
And it's
what was I supposed to say about you this summer? Like,
right.
what did you expect me to say?
Right. It's like he's like you talked bad about me as if you didn't do 1,000 bad things.
No, right. It's like, it's as if you didn't have a 7 month affair with one of her best friends. He's like, you just
Literally.
randomly decided to talk bad about me.
Like that's not even what happened. And it's that point is wild too, because we know he hasn't been apologetic. So you want her to move on and say nice things about you, or I guess not say negative things about you, but you haven't done the work to try to restore your relationship at all until this moment on TV, and she's not having it. And
Yeah,
then as soon as she's not having it, then you throw her under the bus. Because, of course, like, why would she trust you? And he's like, you know me. And it's like, no, she doesn't. And then Katie chimes in. She's like, not after 7 months of secrecy and living a double life.
right. Ariana was like, I'm sorry that that's hard for you to understand, but I don't know you.
I
And
don't
she's
know
basically
you.
like, the second you didn't get your way, you said
Mm-hmm.
awful things about me, you tried to turn everyone on me, and
Mm-hmm.
just like, I just want you away from me. I just want you gone. This was the raw, like,
Yeah.
emotional conversation that they would not have gotten had they had like a fake conversation at the like finale. Like, it's all about timing. And this was a genuine, like, raw conversation where she was
Yeah.
like getting emotional. She was basically saying, like, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to have to be forced to do anything with you. And he's like, but
Yeah.
that's the job. And she's like, it's not my job to like be forced to do anything.
Yeah. And I was like, it's interesting that he even said that because I'm like, is it? Like, who is that really what you think? That like because she is on the cast, she has to talk to you and she has to hear you out? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's her job. And I mean, if it wasn't, she would have been in trouble, right? Like, obviously,
All
it's not her job.
right. And also, how does that feel, Tom, that literally the only reason people have made amends with you is because of a job? Like, it's not
Yeah,
genuine. And this
it's
proves
not.
Ariana's point. And Ariana
It's
makes the
not.
point. She's like, you were going to use me. It's right there at the end. Like, does
Yeah.
everyone not see, like, hello? And I
And
think in
she
that
said it.
moment, Schwartz saw, because Schwartz started to
Schwartz
kind of
started
feel
agreeing with
bad.
her. I was
Yeah.
like, he was like at the moment he was like it was it was funny because Ariana and Tom Sandoval are like arguing and you just hear Shorts in the background like in the moment I didn't understand but no her walking away was completely justified and I was like what who is this Tom Schwartz
I know,
like who
right?
is
He
this
changed
guy
part 3 and all of a sudden it was like, okay, Schwartz, look at you.
like for an hour he like sobered up became his real self and is like being and I'm like who is this guy
I
but
know.
thanks Schwartz yeah we agree with you
Right? Okay, Schwartz, way to be on the right side for once.
but she's like I'm not gonna do this performance. I was being my authentic self. I'm not gonna perform and do something I don't want to do. I didn't want to talk to him so I walked away from him.
Yeah.
And yeah, what he said at the end proved her exactly right.
What did you think about what Lala said? It really hurt. I think Lala was upset that she cried because it like really vilified Lala because it was like you did all this and all you did was turn on your friend and make her cry.
Literally, like you wait, hold on.
Mhm.
For with the Tom Sandoval apology, I forgot.
Oh
There was
yes,
a
he
near
almost
the
gave it a sincere or not sincere, but the right apology. A year and a
yeah.
half later,
A year and a half later, he says, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve it. All things aside. And it's like, that's what you should have said before, but
I
whatever.
know.
It
I'm
really
like,
doesn't matter now. I
I don't
don't
know what she's
care.
supposed to do with this, but
I know
okay.
he memorized it, got ready. Somebody wrote it for him.
Right.
Like, but then she was like, she brought up how um, she how he brought Raquel into their lives and like low-key created a mess. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
brought this girl in and now I have to deal with the backlash, basically, is what she says. In other terms, that's essentially what she said.
Yeah, she's like she talks about me all the time on her podcast. And I think
Yeah.
the other underlying thing is the lawsuit. She's like,
Yeah.
now it's all this, and it's because of you.
Yeah. And then it was funny because I looked at him again and he's just blank face. I feel really bad about that. That was it. And I was like, my guy, you just had your hands over your face. You're just crying and weeping, all this stuff. And now I feel really bad about it. I feel really bad about that. Okay,
It's like,
cool. No, you don't.
great, amazing. I'm sure you do because you're also getting sued. So yeah, I'm sure you do.
I feel really
Stupid.
bad about that.
God, I hate him.
And then we move to like how she feels about what Lala said, but they kind of take a pause. I see Tom do one of these, and I was like, I know you don't have any tears on your face.
It's like barely a trickle, and he's like,
One day we're gonna have a really messy TV show, right? Where someone from production comes out and they're like a tear checker. Like, don't wipe your face, it goes in a jar because we need to know if you're
we need to
lying or
know if
not.
this is real. We need to get
If
this zoom in.
if you watched Harry Potter, there's a moment where he takes somebody's tears and he puts it in a little flask. I know you're a hater, so you probably don't remember, but he
That
takes it and he
sounds
puts it in
vaguely
a little
familiar. I'm
flask.
not a hater. Oh my
This was
God.
so he could see that person's memories. But I'm like, why can't we just do that here, right? Like I really
Why
want to
can't we do that
see
on reality TV?
right, like I want to see if there are actually tears on these people's faces. But yes, then we move and we ask her how did she feel about Lala?
And then she cries,
And she
sobs,
cries.
and she's like, it just hurt my feelings. Da, 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 da. And then Lala's like, well, here's the thing. I was livid. And she's like talking about like she goes on this thing about like the show gave me so many opportunities and I'm so grateful for it. Blah
We
blah
have
blah
to
blah
unpack
blah.
each of these, Brandon, because what? Like
I know.
the like she's trying to justify herself, right? And this I'm sorry is actually the moment when Shorts chimes in. He's like, "Yeah, she was very valid in walking away. It wasn't during this spiff." Um, but she starts saying that um she first it's like the show makes me money, right?
Mhm.
And then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why does that matter though? Can we come to any conclusion why what she's saying right now would matter? Like, what does her walking away at the last in the last scene have to do with your income?
I think she was convinced, probably from producers, that if the conversation doesn't happen, they don't have a season, which is stupid. It just,
Really?
yeah, like I think the producers were pressuring, like, they need this final scene. And Ariana was like, no. And they were like, well, now the show, it's not going to last. Like, this is going to be terrible, a bad season.
Just lead with that because that makes way more sense.
Yeah. But what's
And it also
stupid
makes,
is logically, why would one season be dependent on one scene
yeah.
and one person? I'm like, maybe Lala, instead of focusing on Ariana and what she's doing and your jealousy and resentment towards her,
Hmm.
maybe bring something more to the table than a water tasting.
And a baby daddy picking.
One random sperm party where you already picked the donor, I'm sure, but you were like, let me wear pajamas and then we can pick it here. And it's like, okay. Um,
Yeah.
and then
Uh
it's just, yeah. But continue.
that's interesting that well I just wanted to break down this first thing that she said because I was like what does this have to do with your money? I It's funny because she's like we're breaking the fourth wall but they really didn't because we still don't understand. But if that's the reason then that kind of makes sense. But because I remember seeing producers talking to Ariana before she left and
Yeah.
she was like no I'm leaving and they're like having
Don't go out like
conversations with
this.
her and it's like whatever. Um, and then she said that um she goes into saying that I had to put my relationship out there. It's not fair that Ariana doesn't. And they show clips of her answering questions about Randall, like, did you marry a divorced man? And like hearing the cast
Yes.
reactions.
So she feels like she was grilled about when it was revealed Randall was cheating on her and had all like these scandals and all this. And that where she got grilled and people were like, oh, you lose him, how you get him, all this. Ariana got like uplifted and didn't get nearly as much hate. People were sympathetic. But what Lala fails to realize
That's different.
is they're very different scenarios. One main thing, Ariana wasn't giving you the hard time. Notice the flashback. Ariana's not the one grilling her. You know who
Mm.
is? Sandoval,
Lisa.
Brock,
Mm.
who you've had his back, which I get. Evolve, like things evolve, but it's not the point is it's not Ariana's fault. Second of all, Lala, you started dating a married man. You said he didn't know he was married, but everyone was telling you he was married. Maybe you chose to believe him, impressionable, but you knew enough you were keeping it a secret. And when the cast called you out, mainly Katie, you left mid-season, season 5.
Really?
Yes. And you want to know who her only friend at the time was?
Ariana?
Ariana. You want to know who her only friends were when she came back season 6 and the main reason why she was able to? Because of
Ariana.
Ariana and Sheena. I'll give Sheena
Aw.
too. But it was
Wow,
mainly
Lala's a
Ariana.
bitch.
She is. And then from there, she
Damn.
still was being secretive of her relationship. And then even she eventually brings Randall on, but it's like they're not really diving into their relationship. And I think she would say it was kind of like weird. Like it just, there was always a disconnect. And nobody
Ugh.
really liked Randall or like the cast did, but the audience, like, they could see who Randall was. Like
Yeah.
they understood. So it was just like, yeah, of course, I think maybe she shouldn't have gotten all the hate she got, but she also was mean to the baby mama or like the wife in the beginning of it. And like there, I think there's like text messages, there's shady Insta posts, there's all this stuff she was doing towards his wife at the time, which maybe she was doing it because she thought she was lying about being married, but why would the wife lie about like I don't know. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you had your part. I get maybe you didn't deserve all the hate, but
Yeah.
like you were gonna get questioned because it was like a secretive thing. The Tom and Ariana stuff, maybe they hid some of their relationship stuff like off camera, but you
Hmm.
made it clear that like you didn't really know. It's just stuff you heard. And
Right.
it seems as though a lot of it was like speculation, which
Right.
not to say some of it wasn't true, but it doesn't mean that their like relationship was all bad. Like I'm sure it wasn't like amazing, but it
Yeah.
always seemed like they had a respect for each other. So there was at least that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what she's playing at here. Like And why is all of
She's mad. She's jealous of Ariana. It's point
yeah,
blank.
I mean, I think she's just trying to find reasons to be upset. But it's like if Ariana was the other woman and nobody grilled her, I get it. But in this situation, like her partner was unfaithful to her, and Tom is sitting right there. You're not directing any of this frustration at him, even though you're claiming that they were both hiding things. So be mad at both of them, not just Ariana. And
Yeah.
then also like what do you want to know? Fuck, like what? So because they didn't have a hash, they didn't hash it out at the party, whatever. They've been hiding and they're not being open enough, and you had to be open. Like that
You're
doesn't
the
make
only
sense.
honest one. Like, what does that mean? Also, she says, I understood where Ariana was coming from, but I don't understand why she got to dictate how it went down when I never got to. But Lala did. If you look on TikToks, I'll send you
Yeah, I've
TikToks.
seen. No, no, no. I've seen it.
It's like she's constantly shutting down conversations about Randall. She's walked away from filming multiple times. Season 5 in particular, she left the show. Like, Lala, like
Mhm.
you have dictated. The
Yeah,
thing that she just doesn't understand is Ariana's just more likable, so people are able to root for her.
right.
And then also this girl, this comedian Ray Sani pointed out on Twitter, and I agreed with it. I think Lala thinks that Ariana is like average and like basic, but yet gets like praise and opportunities and all this. And I think Lala's looking at herself like, I'm a bad bitch. Like, why am I not getting these opportunities? Why is life not doing this for me? And it's just like, I think she's just jealous and doesn't
Yeah,
understand. And like maybe
yeah,
she thinks Ariana doesn't give much and she gives a lot and it's she's more entertaining. So why isn't she getting more praise
yeah.
or like success? And it's just like, because you're not authentic and you're like brash and like, look what you're doing
I mean,
now.
it's not even that. Like Ariana went through like a really terrible thing happened to her. The world saw it, the world heard it, and they rallied around her and supported her. She also kind of was standing up for herself, and I think people respected that. Like that's really bottom line. If we're only talking about Scandival, that is why Ariana's getting this like attention and notoriety. But like
Yeah.
she's also very talented, so why not put her on Dancing in the Stars? She can sing, she can dance, so why isn't she on Broadway,
She's
right?
constantly
Like
proving herself.
she's constantly proving herself like and it's not and Chicago is coming back, right? She's good at what she does and people are noticing it. Okay, maybe something negative happened for them to notice, but it's like she was on the positive side of a negative situation. She didn't do anything wrong, something happened to her, so
Yeah.
people are now noticing her. You did something terrible. You did something awful, and you want people to rally behind you and put you on Dancing with the Stars. Like be so for real. I'm sorry that Randall was terrible to you, and I'm sorry that you got wrapped up in a mess, but you cannot compare that to what Ariana is. Like two different situations. Like
And
it
you
doesn't
can't
make sense.
constantly put your motherhood on everyone else's lap. Like,
Oh
it's not
God.
their job to make sure you're making money for your family.
Not at all. And that's confusing too. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
That whole thing doesn't make sense to me. And if your livelihood is really so dependent on the show like that, like sis, you need some streams of income. You've seen all of these people on the cast like do different things. You have a podcast. It seems to be going all right. Like
Yeah. I
I
think
don't
that's the
know.
crazy part. Like, she has other streams of income that honestly, they played this season so wrong because they really, and I've said this before, they thought the audience was going to fully be over Ariana. So they
How,
were like,
Sway?
we're
Yeah.
going to turn on the victim and side with the villain, and it will be great. Which what would have been powerful is when Ariana walked out, all the girls walked out. And they said, we're standing with you because we are walking away from those men who did us dirty. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe an honest and authentic conversation between Ariana and Lala, where Lala's like, I'm feeling resentment that I know is misplaced, but I want to talk to you about it because I just feel like my situation was different. And like, I got this reception and you're getting this one. Like, I want to talk through it. That could have been a real raw conversation
It
between the
could have
two.
been.
They could have the women could have stood in solidarity. And hell, yeah, even film with Sandoval. film with him
Yeah.
because he's on the cast. That's fine.
Yeah.
Ariana did show up to a lot of group things. I think Ariana would have accepted that, of course, because
She
she did
did film
accept
with
it.
him.
She did, and she did talk to him and have scenes, but like it's just like they went so left where they internalized that what she was doing was so personal to them that they lost sight of humanity. They lost sight
Literally.
of the bigger picture.
They lost sight of even why she was doing it. Like,
Yes.
and then if you are gonna be jealous of the opportunities and stuff, it would be one thing if Ariana was milking it, like crying on Instagram, doing
Right.
interviews she did the least amount of
She
podcasts
talks the
and
least about it.
she talks the least about it. And like these opportunities came to her. You want her to just say no? Like it's really
Sheena
so
just can't
crazy.
understand why nothing can be about me. That was crazy when she tried to say she wasn't jealous. I was like, Sheena,
Yeah, I was like, you're
are we,
delusional.
do we have, are we watching the same
She was
show?
like, I think she said I wasn't jealous, I just felt left out. And it's
She
like, I
can't bring
mean,
you on Dancing with the Stars. What do you mean? Shut up.
what
You're
the fuck?
so
Like
stupid.
something else that happened during this Lala's soliloquy thing is, or her just kind of like, not her soliloquy, because that's what I'm referencing,
One
like
of
her
her 87 rants.
yes, rant number 77. She says that Tom has been shoved down her throat, and so she's annoyed. And
Which
then
I
she's
want to
also
say, not even to defend Tom, he's started the show. So what are you
yeah,
talking about?
you get her. She's
Your
like, you've been
mic cut
shoving
out
him
when you
down
just
our throats.
screamed.
Oh,
That's okay. I knew what
I
you
was like,
said. You said you
she,
came in. I could read your.
like he's been here. Like you came in. What are you talking about? Like
Yeah.
what? And then she said, nobody's talked about how Ariana has changed. And I'm like, girl, Lala, I really don't understand you. There must be other things happening behind the scenes because I don't understand it. Because later on, she part of her argument about the mom and the money thing was she wants Ariana to care about her position on the show too. So there must be something else happening because I don't know why she would say that either. I think there are other things happening because what does this have to do with your position on the show? Are you saying Vanderpump Rules will end if Ariana doesn't speak to Tom face to
I
face?
think that's kind of what they were like, because she said on her podcast that the main storyline is someone who has never really had a storyline and she was worried. Like, Lala was trying to play producer a lot, and it was just like, it wasn't making sense because
Yeah,
you're not the producer. It doesn't make sense for a show to fall in the hands of one person, especially an
right.
ensemble cast as big as Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah,
And it's just like, I think she was viewing Ariana as selfish for not filming more with Tom and looking out for everyone else and playing ball, even though she did film with Tom. And, the way she would justify why she doesn't understand it is she moved on 10 days later and she's still in the house with him. She's like clinging to the house part, even though it's
yeah,
Ariana's house that she put her life savings in and owns.
right.
And then when it comes to like the relationship, I think Ariana mentioned this on the podcast with Katie. You can be over the romantic part of a relationship, but still be unpacking the trauma.
Yeah.
So, and that's again, I think I mentioned this last episode. It's resentment towards Lala because Lala just doesn't, Lala hasn't been able to move on.
Yeah. She's projecting a lot, and I don't know if
She's
she
a big projector,
realizes.
Candace projector.
That's a 40 by 40-foot projector. She just is doing a lot. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, Andy basically asks Ariana, like, how do you feel about rant number 87? And Ariana's like talking about sobbing every day, like I was sobbing every day. And she starts choking up again. And I'm like, yeah, Lala, you piece of shit. I hope you feel like crap right now. Like, girl, what? You're talking about I was crying every day, not the girl
Who would actually happen
who
to?
it happened to. Girl, what? You're
Yeah.
sobbing every day because you don't know how the show is going to turn out.
Uh, she just won't film with Tom and she won't re-traumatize herself.
Girl, like,
Like,
be so for
girl,
real.
get a grip. And then
Literally.
Ariana goes, if we want to talk in show terms, basically me walking out is a lot more interesting than me having that conversation. And was that
Hmm.
not dramatic enough for you to get another season for your
Right.
show and get yourself another paycheck?
Right. So it's like, and because Lala is now a producer, so concerned about the show, it's
Right.
like, isn't that true? Like, and she's right. Like, if they had a conversation, I mean, it would have been whatever. But this, I think,
It
did give
opened
an
the door
ending.
for so much more.
It did.
And like
But
Lala
then
was like,
Lala
if I
takes
didn't
credit
have my
for it.
rant, and I'm like, honestly, your rant was like the unnecessary part. It was more interesting, the Tom and Sheena. I'll
Well,
give the montage, like maybe your voiceover over the montage, sure. But
yeah.
even you shouldn't have given it. It should have been like Sheena.
I mean, I think her rant was valuable, yes, in the sense that it's bringing this conversation to the forefront, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, girl, then show all your cards. Show us how you really feel about Ariana. Like,
Yeah.
if you must, since you're such a hater, let us all know how you really truly feel.
Right.
And and all those feelings came out, and we saw Sheena agree, we saw Schwartz agree,
Hmm.
so I guess it was helpful in that. I mean, I think Ariana's point is like the way the season ended was fine.
Basically,
Like
she's
it
like,
was okay.
it was a good, like, it wasn't a bad ending. So, like,
Not
what
at
are we doing?
all. Literally, what are we doing? Like, what are you complaining about? Like, what I you're acting as if my behavior was so detrimental, but it led to all of this. So like it really was fine. Can you just open your eyes for a second and kind of see the situation? But
Right.
um and then she Lala starts to say that they weren't honest about their relationship, and she's like, I'm not the only one who has said this. Sheena has said this, Katie has said this. And then Katie, that's just when Katie is like, I mean, what did they have to not be honest about, basically? And that's when Lala was like, oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah. And then it showed that unseen flashback or like from 2 years ago. I think it was season 10.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were filming, it would have been, I guess, 2 years ago, where she was just like, Tom and Ariana's relationship, like, we can't talk about it. It's just not allowed. Da, 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 da. And my thing
Yeah.
is, I think that was aimed more towards Tom, because that's another thing. She's saying all this,
Mm.
but it's like she's blaming Ariana for it. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, it was kind of both. And I would venture to say, yeah, they protected some stuff. While they're saying this, Ariana's sobbing into her tissue, being like, we were in couples
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah. I was like, damn.
Yeah. And it was just like, I'm sure they hid
Uh,
some stuff, but they were also, if you watch back, they were open about a lot of issues. I think,
yeah.
there's just some stuff they were protective of. And I'm like, it's not to say they weren't hiding things, but it was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know.
Yeah. I
What does
mean,
that have to
like,
do with this?
right. I mean, like, even this season, if we're gonna talk about Ariana and Tom being open about their relationship, I feel like this season they were both pretty transparent, right? Tom is being pathetic, crying in the closet about Raquel, right? Like, okay, it
Yeah.
can't get worse than this. He looks pretty awful, right? Like,
Crying about his mysteries.
I'm glad he looks awful and I'm glad he's sad, but like he's being open, right?
Yeah.
Ariana, you guys are trolling her for eating in her bedroom and how messy her house is. If that's not a sign of depression, I don't know what is. When like everything around you is a mess, you don't have the energy to clean stuff up, you're like confined to one room of your house. This doesn't look great. Like she's not explicitly saying I'm depressed, but I think she's showing like parts of herself. Like you're acting as if she's not showing anything, you know?
Hmm.
And then like when they're talking, when they've had conversations with her about Tom, it's not like she just shuts up and she doesn't say anything. Like she's been vocal. So
Yeah.
what are you really complaining about here? And
Yeah.
then Andy asks Sheena, have they really portrayed their real relationship? And Sheena's like, I think they have. And then Lala's done. That's when Lala's like, fuck you
Well, it's
guys.
like, can we go? Like, I can't do this. Because she was like, no, because it was like, she had said, yeah, I've seen them fight, but I've seen them have good moments too, where were all over each other. And Tom was like, when we were rolling at a music festival,
What does that mean?
like on ecstasy.
Oh, I was like, I wrote
Oh,
it down. I was like,
Maggie. She's like, what
rolling
does
at,
rolling mean?
I
Oh,
was like,
Maggie.
like a blunt.
No, no, like,
And then Ariana said that was rude. And I was like, why?
yeah. Well, to say like, oh, we were only affectionate when we were on drugs.
Oh,
That's what he's saying.
understand. I
And
understand.
I'm like, I'm sure they were more affectionate on drugs, but I'm sure they also had moments of affection off drugs. But whatever.
Uh,
But then they were like, Andy was like, Sheena, you say you said that Sandoval shows up more for you than
mm-hmm.
Ariana? And she's like, I think they both show up for me. And Lala's like, can we be done? You've told me a million times off camera that he's a better friend. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I want to live my life. This isn't honest.
I
I,
want to live my real honest life. And it's
I'm the
like,
only
girl,
one that's been
what?
honest. And Ariana just looks at her like, ew.
She no, she really did. Like she got up and Ariana was like, girl, be so for real. But honestly, like, what are you so upset about? And this is my other qualm. Like, okay, you want people to be so honest and whatever, but you personally know yourself that when you're going through shit, you don't want it all out there. And you did that. Right? You're saying, "Oh, I'm not hiding anymore." But let's put pen to paper and see. Like, let's see you go through something and see if you really do want to show America everything. Like,
Right.
there's no issue with like being a little private during hard times.
Yeah.
You did it yourself. You didn't want anybody asking you questions about Randall. But now when other people do it, it's a problem because now you claim to be taking this stance where you want to live your real life. Like, girl, bye. Live your real life doing what? Okay, yeah, it's sad. I guess it's sad you're having a baby by yourself, but obviously, like, you've come through it. Like, are you really being so transparent? I
Yeah.
don't know.
She's not, because we don't see anything. I don't know. Like she's transparent about some stuff, but also not about everything. So it's just like, and I don't know. And then she keeps trying to have like these gotcha moments. And I'm glad Katie finally says it.
Yeah.
She's like, you keep trying to have like gotcha moments. Like, enough. You're always trying to paint me as a liar. Yes, I said
Mm-hmm.
that about Tom and Ariana, but like, I just admitted it. And also, I talked to like, I'm pretty sure Katie's talked to Ariana about all of this. And that's
Yeah.
the difference. Lala can't understand that just because you said something 2 years ago, it doesn't mean that you haven't talked to that person about it since, or that your feelings about something have evolved or you
I
have
mean,
more insight.
right. Like Katie was agreeing with her and she was still chewing her head
She
off. And she's like,
was.
I'm agreeing with you. They probably could have talked about it in that moment, but
Yeah.
Lala's being so like dominant over the conversation and so aggressive. It's like when someone was gonna have your back, you didn't even let them.
You're
Like,
right. And she was like,
girl.
don't yell at me like that, Katie. And Katie's like, I'm going to yell because you don't stop talking over people. So I
Yeah.
need you to know that, like, this is what I'm saying. Because that was Lala's big thing after the reunion. She's like, I never yelled. And it's like, no, but you're talking at an elevated pitch and you're
I'm
speaking
soft
over everyone.
now.
It's like, what are
I'm
you talking
soft.
about? I'm
It's like,
soft.
no,
I
you're
am.
not.
I can't.
No, you're
Meanwhile,
not.
Ariana's in a puddle
She's
this whole
literally
time.
crying still.
You know who shocked me? Lisa Vanderpump.
Lisa shocked me too
I was like,
because
okay, Lisa.
yeah, like well oh wait, right before that, Andy asks were you afraid of what the audience would say, And then he was like, are you guys putting on a performance for the audience basically? Like were you acting in a way because you were afraid of what the audience would say? And then Tom is like, yeah, if they went by Ariana's rules, no one would talk to me. And I'm like, you guys are really trying to paint this and it's like that did not happen.
Yeah. And
He
she's
was
like, that's a weird thing to say. I never gave anyone rules.
Yeah, and they kind of moved on, which I'm glad, but I'm like literally Tom Tom is like all for this. He's like, I want people to think
Destruction.
yes, like he just wants people to think that Ariana just was being mean to him, closing him out, not letting him have forgiveness, when that's really not even what happened. Like she's in public. You guys went to group gatherings together. Did she block every conversation and say, "Hey, if you talk to him, I'm mad at you"? Like that didn't even happen. Even he
No.
even went so far as to do that even Schwartz was interpreting her as like this mean aggressor. Remember when he asked her like, "Can I live in your house?" She was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
really?"
I
And it's
thought
like,
you were gonna
yeah,
kill me.
yeah, just pay me for it. And it's like she's really not this aggressive person that you guys are trying to portray her to be. But then yes, that's when Andy asks Lisa about leaving, which I thought was a weird question.
Yes. Well, it's
Again, it kind of
because on Be
signifying like a closing.
yeah, well, you never watched Beverly Hills Housewives. So
No.
Lisa quit the show because there was like a couple
Ah.
seasons ago because there was like a puppy gate, they called it. Because
Oh boy.
Dorit on the show adopted a dog from Vanderpump Dogs. The dog didn't work out because it was like biting like the kids and the husband. So she gave it to someone they thought they like could trust, but somehow
Mhm.
the dog ended up in a kill shelter. And then it wasn't the
Oh.
protocol of what you should do with Vanderpump Dogs. And so Lisa allegedly set up a scheme to like bring it up on camera because this happened pre-season. So she wanted it to be talked about during the season. She
Mhm.
says she didn't. I don't think she did. But she ended up because everyone thought she did. She was also going through a lot because her brother had just died and like she was going through that. The cast turned on her and accused her of leaking stuff to the press. She ended up quitting mid-season.
Oh, wow.
And so, and she didn't show up to the reunion. So that's why Andy's like, what do you think of her walking away? Because you quit Beverly Hills and you didn't show up.
Mm.
And she was like, I didn't show up to the reunion because the reunion's where you want to reconcile. And I didn't want to see those women ever again. So I left
Yeah.
the show. So it's okay to leave. And then she turns to Lala. She's like, I understand what you're saying about maybe people not being completely honest, but no one can say Ariana didn't show up this season.
Yeah, you can't
And
say that.
walking away, like I don't think I could ever show up. So I think if you feel like you need to walk away, you can walk away. And you see Ariana's face, she's like genuinely shocked that
And then she started crying.
obviously she
No, she was
started
like
crying.
looked and then she started crying again and I was like, "Aw."
Yes. And I was like,
'Cause
okay, Lisa, coming in on the 11th hour
yeah.
saying something nice. A little
Finally.
too late, but at least you
For
said something.
real.
So I'll give you this. I'll give you it.
Yeah,
I'll give
because
it.
I feel like all reunion her comments have been like devil's advocate, but
Yeah.
like this was actually very genuine and it's valid. Like it's validating y'all. Like she should be able to not have a conversation with someone if she doesn't want to. Like it's
Yeah.
all right to walk away. It's not a, like looking at Lala like girl, you're really making this a whole thing that it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and it's funny too when you think about it, because Lisa was the one pressuring everyone to like forgive Dom and
Yeah.
film, and Ariana's being this way, only to
Uh,
show up at the end and be like, Ariana was right.
yeah. Like
And they're just like, what the fuck? And then it's revealed kind of at the end that Lala was upset with Lisa telling her to
Lisa.
come back when she tried to walk away because she's like, Ariana gets to walk away and it's fine, but I don't get to and I'm pregnant. And it's like, girl, yeah, because you're filming a fucking reunion where you're all talking and you're sitting down. Like, what do
Yeah,
you
she
mean?
like all of her behavior, she reflects it back and it's not the same situation. Like, I mean, I guess when she got up during the reunion, it was whatever, but she could have kept going.
No one
This
ever
is the
wants people to walk away at a reunion. No
no.
one.
No, but I mean, like, even thinking about the mechanics, right? Ariana, she got up, she walked away. They told her, no, come back. She looked at them, she's like, no. And she gave her reason,
I'm
and
going to
she kept
Applebee's.
going. I'm leaving. So if Lala really put her foot down, it's not like they're forcing you and
Go.
dragging you back to your chair. You could have walked
Exactly.
away. Like, you're being so dramatic, comparing everything that doesn't relate. Like, girl.
Mm.
Oh, it must be exhausting to be this bitter. I
No, she is.
can't.
And it's crazy because after the reunion, someone asked her on Instagram something about how are you and Katie? And her response was, maybe when I get as bitter, as miserable as her, we'll get back to being good. And then it's
Girl,
just like,
look at
this
yourself.
was after the reunion. I'm like, Lala, Katie seems the lightest. At the end of all this, she's like, even Andy said, she's like, you look great.
You're
And she's like,
lighter.
thank you. Like, yes, I just feel so lifted and just like I feel at peace with everything, lighter in a mental state.
Yeah.
And it was just like funny, but it kind of, I think it kind of like ends there, but then they take a break.
They take a break.
And oh no,
Ariana.
Sheena's like, now, Ariana, do you think now that you understand why Lala was so frustrated?
Oh, yeah.
And then Ariana was like, I understand the frustration, not the insults. It
Yeah.
just
And she
cut.
left it at that. And it's like, there's really nothing else to say. And it's true. Like, you can be frustrated, but when you take it to a disrespectful place, then you're not my friend. Like, you're not
Yeah.
someone who cares about me. Because behind my back, you say all of these things. I'm God, I'm Beyonce, I'm this.
Behind the back is key because Lala, you're preaching about being the only one honest, but you never said any of this to Ariana's face.
And you could have also said it in the weeks leading up to this. You could have left. You could have called her while she was on her way to Applebee's, but you didn't. You didn't
No.
say anything.
You
You and
pretended to be your friend. You went to opening night of Chicago. Like,
like it's literally ironic how she calls people not transparent. And it's like
mm,
you've had these one-on-ones with Ariana where you are trying to encourage her to forgive and whatever. But maybe you could have brought all this other stuff up too. No, you kept it
yeah.
to yourself. So you're just as bad as they are. And
Hmm.
then poor Ariana, she puts her head on Katie's chest and Katie's like, come here. And she's just like, cry. She's, yo,
Yeah.
beat this girl up
I
verbally,
know.
psychologically, mentally, emotionally, betrayal, regret, all of it.
Everything. She's going through it. But
I
then
feel
there was
so bad
comedic
for her.
relief because Katie's earrings gets caught on Ariana's hair. And then it's a really funny
Yeah.
moment where they're like, oh my God, oh my God.
And then Lisa is like, is there any way to fix this? What can we do? And then she just kind of puts her suit together.
I'm going to Wolf. It's like, there's nothing, Lisa. Y'all need time
Right.
and
And
a
then of
prayer.
course, for real. And then of course Sheena's still on the fence because again, she's been talking shit about
She
she's been
beelined
talking
it to
shit with everybody.
Lala and ignored Ariana sobbing.
I thought that was weird because I thought she was getting up to go comfort Ariana, but she didn't. And she
Mhm.
was like, "Did I say enough? Or should I have said something else?" And I guess she's basically feeling bad for not. So I think she knows
Seeking
that she has also had
validation.
these frustrations, but she didn't like come to Lala's defense. Granted, Sheena, I feel like you're valid because Lala's doing a little too much right now.
Yeah, because I'm sure Sheena felt it, but had the wherewithal to know it wasn't completely personal, and some of it's a little extreme.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but Sheena, and she's even said she worries about what people think and say, the audience,
Way too
everyone.
much.
And then when they're in their like their sister circle and they're all like, what do we think about the season? Like where do we think this group's going? Sheena's like, I just want to end it saying that Lala was my rock this season, whereas Ariana used to be my rock. And it's like, are you really still confused why Ariana doesn't fuck with you as much as maybe she used to?
My thing is, and this is a really good example of like when you are going through a rough time, your friends really show up. Because I
Mhm.
feel like this could have been Sheena's opportunity, like Katie, to kind of rally around Ariana more. Yeah, she's not texting you back. She's going through it. But maybe you show up more. Maybe you call a second time. Or maybe you just give her grace for
Yeah.
not responding, right? But then
Hmm.
you want to say this thing about Lala was your rock. And I'm like, okay, how, Sway? Like, I don't really think that that's fair to say. When somebody is going through something, you can't expect them to continue to be the same way they were before. Like
Exactly.
your dynamic of your relationship is changing because she's having a hard time. So instead of being
Yeah.
selfish, you should be rallying around your friend, not saying that she wasn't your rock. And
Not
even
saying,
Ariana was just sitting there like, okay, I wasn't your rock. she's
sure,
not
I don't
she's
need to
not
be your
getting
rock.
up to arguing about it.
I'm a gray rock, but I'm not your gray rock. Okay.
Like it's so unnecessary.
They just can't. And then
Uh,
Lala's in this panic mode where she's trying to just protect herself. So she's convincing herself it's okay that she hurt Ariana and Katie.
mhm.
She's like, I don't even care. Ariana, I barely see. And Katie, I don't give a fuck. Let's just stop pretending.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
So
it's
they
like,
all rap and you see them kind of behind the scenes, and that's what she said.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, then if you didn't care, why did you come with all of this fire?
Why are you crying? Oh yeah, because you know you're about to look bad because you were exposed.
I mean,
Hello.
I've been I've been in I can sympathize her with her in the sense that I've been in moments where I've wanted people to like be on my side and they haven't, and it does feel very lonely. So I get
Hmm.
it. Like you wanted your friend. You've heard everybody complaining. Sure. I'm sure that's true. You've heard
Yeah.
everybody complaining. You wanted them to come on here and bring their seats
You
and
wanted them
complain
all to
with you.
hate Ariana openly.
Right. But their feelings are at 2, whereas yours are at 10. So you're just
Yeah.
doing the most, creating this whole scene really for no reason. And
Right.
so, yeah, I would be upset too if nobody came to my defense. And then the only person who was like, coming to save me, Tom Sandoval, you are a rock star. I was like, ugh,
I'm like, if Tom Sandoval is consoling you while sobbing, saying he respects you, you are on the wrong path.
wrong path.
Wrong road.
You want his
Wrong
respect? Take
road.
it.
Okay, this is what you got. His respect. You happy? I
Yeah,
can't.
like that's insane. But this whole like just the way that she just compares herself in situations where it doesn't compare is really like Lala is pretty delulu if you ask me. Like
No, she is. And she just let a podcast out. She didn't really talk about the reunion. She went on like a 5 minute like crying thing where she was like, what got her was the comments that were coming for her as a mom. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I'm sure there were trolls that say that, but I feel like most of the comments were just about your behavior. And you
yeah.
said you weren't reading the comments. So, I mean,
I
look,
mean, I
I
think
don't
that they're
know.
probably attacking her for weaponizing her motherhood, which
That
I low
part,
key is kind of valid though.
it's
Like
what you're
Lala,
doing.
you bring it up every couple minutes. If you
Right.
don't
And
want
it's
us,
like,
if you don't want people to say something, and then again, stay out of the comments. Like,
yeah,
we already went through this.
we
Get out of
did.
the comments.
Get out of the comments. Like Ariana said to Sheena, lesson learned, stay out of the comments. We all get hate.
Yeah, like that's uh
Mm. But
but yeah, they kind of wrapped it up. The comedic after the comedic relief of the earring thing, they it kind of got softer, and
yeah,
then
they had sandwiches. Anne showed up and Kyle Chan. That was fun.
I was pissed when Tom walks up to Anne. He's like, "Hey, make sure to clean up after."
It's
And
like,
I'm
Tom,
like,
do you not understand they don't like you? This is an invasion of personal space. This is too much.
and Anne was
Stop.
like, "Yeah, I'll clean up after." And he's like, "I'm just joking." And she didn't. She was just like,
He's like, get the
like
fuck
awkward
away from me.
laughter. And it's like, yo, read the room.
He
Like,
can't.
I think that was his moment to be like, "Ha, let me poke fun with my old friend." And it's like, she's not your. You
It's like,
fired her.
I'm easygoing. I'm Tom Sandy. Yeah. It's like,
Ugh.
no, get away.
Please, please. And
Ugh,
then they mentioned James' residency in Las Vegas, and I'm like, y'all aren't pissed about James's opportunities?
no.
Nobody said a thing. And James
Nobody.
was really quiet this whole thing.
He
So first,
was.
y'all are pissed about opportunities, but you're not mad at James. The misogyny of it all. But then I was also like, I kind of wish James spoke up more
Yeah.
because I feel like he has thoughts and opinions about this stuff, but he really didn't say anything. And I feel like he could have came to Ariana's defense a little bit, but I don't know if he just decided to stay out of it. I don't know.
I think so. He tends to do that when it's like a big group thing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And he probably
uh,
felt a little bad. I don't know.
because he was kind of like defending her on the after parties. A couple of them, you could see
Yeah.
them like, "Oh, you guys are hating on Ariana for this, but blah blah. I would have done this," and
Yeah.
then he just didn't say anything. So I was like, "Okay, James, you could have your
You could
powers
have
have
said
been could have
more.
been good used for good here."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
But
essentially it.
that was it. That's a wrap on Vanderpump Rules season 11. How sad.
Season 11. Yeah, we've been referencing the podcast. The only other thing I would say about the podcast was because I kind of wanted to like hear more. Like I wanted to hear Ariana's real thoughts about Sheena and Lala, right? Like
Yeah,
give us
but
the
they
tea.
weren't going to give her the material to talk about it. So I
She
get it.
yeah, I mean she's taking the high road, which is commendable. But she was basically like, I don't feel the need to argue every single point with every person.
Yeah.
If you're gonna think this way about me, especially people who I'm not close to, then I don't really care what you have to say. And I was like, that's very mature. And then Katie kind of mentioned it too. Like, they're not even giving us, like, you guys are arguing with me. You're not even letting me talk. So why am I gonna try? And so I kind of feel like she could have said more during the reunion. Both of them, Lala and Katie, could have said more, but they're kind of choosing not to because it's not going to be received. It's not, this isn't a place where we're going to have a productive conversation. So they're not going to try. And
Yeah.
I get it.
I do too. But yeah, that's a wrap on this season. I'm sure, next week, we're having a bit of a lull next week because we were going to cover Love Island, but it doesn't start for another 2 weeks.
Hmm.
So next week we'll try to discuss maybe something random. I'm sure something will come up with this too, like from a podcast or something that we can address as well.
Yeah.
So we can
Or we might
circle
do a
back.
like a get to know us or something. We'll see
Oh
what we'll
yeah.
do next week.
We'll see. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, this was a depressing finale to the season, which was fitting for a depressing season. But
Hmm.
I'm exhausted talking about these people, so I'm glad there's a little bit of a break. I'm like, I need a
Yeah.
break.
we'll see what happens with them. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was fully invested in all of these like arguments and stuff, and now I'm like, it's over. I'm kind of sad, but also like, all right,
Right. We
let's
can
move on.
breathe.
We can breathe now.
Uh, but with that being said, that's it for today's episode, Maggie.
That's all, Brandon. We're done with Vanderpump Rules.
We're done, but we will be back. Don't worry.
Mhm.
But with that being said, thank y'all so much for listening. Make sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give us 5 stars. Come on, show some love. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at the Shade of It All Podcast. Still posting fun clips on TikTok. You can see our beautiful faces, talk about everything, and watch the
Yes.
pod on YouTube at the Shade of It All Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, thank y'all so much. We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.